Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Mellon, Vertex Director of Tax, a part of our Chief Tax Office. We welcome you to our newest episode of our series, Larry Live, Tax Talk for Tax Professionals. On each episode, we will discuss tax topics that tax professionals should be aware of, include in their ongoing tax strategies, and to share the latest trends in the tax landscape. On today's episode, we are joined by Nadine Lee, a talent acquisition partner here at Vertex. Nadine will be sharing with us her expert opinion on the state of the accounting tax career field, how organizations view the needs and skills of accounting professionals, and much more. Welcome to the show, Nadine.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you for having me. Business leaders often focus on how to grow their organizations in different regions, solution offerings, and services to benefit their customers. As organizations grow, so too do the requirements and skills needed by their employees. I look forward to delving into this with you some more today.
Great. So thank you, Nadine. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that the tax field has evolved over the last decade or so. What our viewers might not be thinking about, though, are the different ways that tax professionals can make an impact on their business with new skills and have developed in this latest time span. Nadine, have you noticed the typical career path of a tax professional evolve over the last few years? And what areas of growth do you see from tax roles in the past?
Larry, today there's no typical career path, as knowledge in tax can take you in so many different directions. In the past, tax professionals only had one career path, and that was working broadly in accounting and then incorporating aspects of tax into their daily jobs. Over time, this has changed, and the area of tax has been pulled out more specifically as a function. In smaller companies, the accountant is still responsible for the tax function. But in larger organizations, the tax function is broken into a more specialized area, and this is largely due to the complexity of tax. Right. 10 to 20 years ago, tax professionals were accountants who had to do some tax. Today, the accounting function is separate from tax for many organizations. Now, a tax professional can be in the area of tax compliance, tax research, tax systems, or even tax solutions. Also, many undergraduate programs incorporate tax as a specific area or even a minor for their accounting degree programs. Many colleges and universities now have masters in taxation programs, and this was never seen before. This has caused a shift in what the path of a tax professional can look like and how they can utilize their knowledge and skills in the market. Larry, 10 years ago, you'd only see a few tax jobs on the market, but now there's hundreds. And if you consider the quintessential tax professionals, 10, 20 years ago, you'd never invite them to a party because they were thought of as boring and dull.
That's
now,
not true.
Tax is an exciting area now due to its continuous change and its importance in business as well. It's also a stable career field where good jobs can be found.
Yes.
Tax rules are also changing, as you know well. So let me give you an example. The tax solution role is an example of a fairly new area of growth in the tax market. Tax solution roles marry a broad knowledge of tax with systems knowledge. So you can become a software engineer with a background in tax and still have a viable career. So tax research also, that is also another growing area. More companies are asking for tax research knowledge in their tax job descriptions. So showcasing a research background will be important if you're seeking a job in this new year. Tax analytics and tax automation tools knowledge is also being sought after in the market, as these give companies efficiencies by utilizing technology. Growth in these areas, Larry, will continue as the use of technology in tax has changed where people can go. It has changed career pathing, and it also has changed what people can do with that knowledge.
That's great, Nadine. I agree with everything you said there. So important. A lot of information. It was really good there. So I look at it on the tax leader side. We need to find ways to broaden our staffing, continue to cross-train, right? Both looking at the many projects we have. We often get bound by compliance, but when you look for the completion, the things that are typically outside the traditional tax filing roles, there's multiple things that have to be done, and we need to find people to be able to work through this. So I want to pivot for a second on how the typical career path has grown and discuss specific parts of that evolution, with being the technology and the tax solutions, as you mentioned, that are available to assist professionals these days, right? Many people look at automation solutions and get afraid that they might be replaced, right? You're going to outsource, you're going to do something different with my job with the technology they have. I would argue that the technology that's in place will help simplify their day-to-day and make the team more active, right? Allowing them more time, resources to meet their already busy deadlines, right? Looking at that. But in one area the tax professionals can bring to the table to partner with the automated solution, right, is a wealth of tax research and analysis. Nadine, so I guess how does tax research and skills to utilize new technology fit into these roles of the tax professionals?
Well, let me address one thing that you said first, Larry. Let's talk about the automation solutions and tools.
Yeah.
So automation solutions or tools are exactly that. They're a technology tool. People will be needed to understand, interpret, and communicate the information from the tool. Companies are seeking people who can not only identify, but also understand, interpret, and communicate tax laws and rulings. And many companies utilize automation tools as a mechanism to assist with this. So a lack of tax technology knowledge and utilizing of these tools can leave you behind in the market. Utilizing new technology tools and tax research, as you talked about, can provide a broader set of analytical skills, making the tax professional more strategic and more marketable. It also helps to propel the professional to move from a broader tax function to more specialized functions. Larry, I see so many candidates who try to do this, move from broader tax functions to more specialized functions. And I just want to provide really quickly 7 pointers for a candidate who's looking to do some of that, right? So 1, incorporate continuous learning into your acumen. This is tax. You have to be a continuous learner to be in tax. 2, find out about new technology and look for ways to learn them, whether through demos or free courses or even watching videos. Many tax professionals are part of different associations, and they should utilize the information from associations that they belong to keep abreast of changes in the market. Also, ensure your certifications are kept up to date. This not only keeps you knowledgeable, but it also keeps you marketable. Consider investing in yourself, and that could mean paying for courses, as it may help you in the long run. And add all your strategic skill sets and the tools that you've utilized, both past and present, into your resume. I cannot tell you how many times, Larry, I'm talking to a candidate and they go, "Oh, I utilized that before," but it's not on their resume anywhere.
Yeah.
And then finally,
that's an important part. They have to make sure they list those things on there and be able to talk clearly about them.
Exactly. And that's my next point. Never overstate your abilities or your use of a tool, especially if you barely know it. The recruiter is going to know, and the hiring managers are definitely going to find those things out in the interview. Yeah. So just like you said. So, yeah. The other thing, too, that as I think of the other coin for employers, I think that the role of tax need to be considered differently as an employer is looking for good candidates. Many candidates may not have all the skills that are being sought in a job description, right? So it is imperative that a recruiter is given the necessary latitude for creativity in finding that right person. Employers also need to consider the teachability of a candidate and what they need a candidate to have when they enter the company and what they're willing to teach when the candidate comes in. Right. They also need to consider, is the tax system knowledge more important than the tax research or compliance knowledge, or vice versa? What knowledge must take precedence in reviewing candidates? That's a question that employers need to answer prior to coming into the interview process. And the answers to all of this will depend on the role, but giving a recruiter latitude to find that right candidate and not just tick off boxes will ensure that you get the best candidate for the job. Finally, the tax area is sometimes not understood well, Larry, as you know. Working with the talent acquisition team is going to be really important so that they can truly understand the role and the importance of the role within the company itself so that they can find the right candidate. No matter if your company is small or large, or if your tax function is broadly focused or even specialized, finding that right candidate is going to be important for you.
Yeah, I think that's important. Thanks, Nadine. I think that, just building that relationship between the hiring manager to whatever level with the talent acquisition is vital, because they're the people that are on the front line helping find the ideal candidates. And as much as the talent acquisition person is not a tax person, having those conversations really vital. So continuing to help the staff further educate, both internal and external, is a plus, like working through that. We discussed in past sessions, we've always talked about educating your staff is vital, right? Even at the hiring process, even if it means new knowledge, right? They receive makes the company, may make them move to another company. But so far, we've covered the different ways that a traditional path of a tax professional has evolved and the different ways that research technologies fit into this role. But I want to talk about how to blend all those technology, research, tax skills into one focus that people can take the steps in their career to sharpen new skills, right? So Nadine, what is one concern that you see today on how tax professionals are needed to learn more about how to utilize technology in relationship to meeting new tax regulations?
Larry, as you know, tax is getting more and more complex every day. So having the right arsenal for continued success is important. For tax professionals, one concern that I'm seeing is an inability to embrace tax technology tools and to embrace a research and analytical skill set and mindset. I see so many compliance professionals who have never considered venturing into research, but
Right.
research is an important aspect of compliance. You're never too old to learn, and you may be surprised how embracing an automation tool can enhance your job and your analytical skill set and mindset. For employers, one concern is ensuring that you're asking the correct questions in interviews to see how the candidate, the person, thinks and understands, and to ensure they have the right skill set for the job.
Right.
You need to ensure that you understand who the person is as a person, but also as a prospective employee. You need to really listen and hone in into how questions are answered to ensure that you're not hiring the wrong person, but also to ensure you're not hiring the wrong balance of skill sets, right?
Right. It's
Also,
important.
there needs to be understanding around the nuances of what the interview team is seeking. Are you looking for someone versed in exemptions or exceptions? Or are you looking for someone who has a broader tax knowledge? Are you looking for someone who is steeped in innovation or someone who has engineering skills with tax or implementation and tax skills? You
Right.
have to get a clear understanding of what is being sought and how that person's task will affect the greater organization as well. The other thing is the lack of avenues that are provided for continuous learning is also a concern, as this is a big selling point for many tax professionals. Organizations need to ensure that they're providing avenues for tax professionals to retain their certification and keep their skills and their knowledge updated. Larry, everyone is not an expert in everything, but if there's the right mindset, if there is the ability to find the answers, if the ability to be fluid and strategic in thought is there, along with the ability to seek out and understand the nuances of tax while engaging tax tools and the use of tax technology, then that tax professional will be a great asset to the company.
That's great. Thank you, Nina. Couldn't agree with you more. There's a lot of information we provided. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up today's episode?
Just a couple. The challenge to retain and hire tax professional or the tax professional of the future really revolves around understanding, utilizing, and engaging tax tools and also tax technology.
Right.
The other challenge that I see is ensuring that an inclusive recruitment system is had. Employers need to engage and embed, you know, um, engagement, inclusion, and also belonging in all that they do. Early career and intern programs are important to prepare and to introduce students to the tax area. Also, finally, for someone who's considering changing their job this year, considering incorporating new tools into your personal knowledge base and also growing yourself. The market is changing, and so should you. The tax tech market is growing, and so should you.
That's great, Nadine. Thank you for joining us today, Nadine. While we've covered a lot of great information around the accounting career space, I hope our viewers can take some of this information we discussed today and apply it to their teams, having discussions with their teams, going back to see how everybody can grow. And it's vital. It's vital that the two teams work together, that you ensure that you get the right candidate that's in there. You're also engaging to make sure that the staff that you have is continuing to grow. They're both very important things. So I want to thank you. And for those who submitted questions today, we'll continue to do our best to field them and get those back out to you real time. That said, that's all the time that we have today. Thank you again, Nadine Lee, for insights. And thank you for joining us today on another episode of Larry Live, Tax Talks for Tax Professionals. We'll see you soon.